This is Travis Elliott with National Control Devices, and today I want to talk to you about using NCD's enterprise line of wireless sensors with our good friends Ubidots. Ubidots is a cloud platform provider which is very easy to use, and they have excellent support. We highly recommend them. So today we're going to see how do we get NCD enterprise sensors connected to Ubidots. For this demonstration, I'm going to be using a temperature humidity sensor, but it should be noted that this is going to work with any of the products in our enterprise line of products. To view our enterprise line of products, go to store.ncd.io, click on Enterprise Sensors and Devices. Then you can click on the wireless interface that you want. It's available at 900 megahertz for the US or Singapore, 868 or 2.4 gigahertz. So you can filter down to the sensors that we offer there, and you can see the whole product line offering. So what I'm going to be showing you, as I said, is a temperature humidity sensor, but this is going to work with any of the devices in our enterprise line of wireless sensors. I'm going to be using it with an IoT edge computer, which we highly recommend as the gateway device for these enterprise series sensors. The IoT edge computer will receive the wireless signals from the wireless sensors, and then we'll send that data to the cloud platform via Ethernet, Wi-Fi, or cellular connectivity. The IoT edge computer can support multiple sensors. We typically don't recommend more than about 50 sensors per gateway, but it really just depends on how often you're going to have your sensors reporting. The IoT edge computer runs Node-RED on board. Node-RED is where we program what the IoT edge computer should do with the sensor data it receives. Now I should also note you don't have to use an IoT edge computer. You could use one of our wireless modems. And we have wireless modems available for USB, Ethernet, Wi-Fi, RS-45, RS-232, and they will receive the wireless transmissions from the sensors and then feed them to your computer. And then on your computer you can run Node-RED. So that's an alternative. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the Node-RED interface. This is the flow editor, or basically where we program what needs to happen when sensor data is received. The IoT Edge computer comes with our NCD Red wireless library for Node-RED pre-installed, so you don't need to install it. If you're running Node-RED on a computer, however, you will need to install the NCD Red wireless library. To do that, click on the menu button in the upper right corner, click Manage Palette, then go to Install and search for NCD-Red-Wireless. And you'll find the NCD Red Wireless library available there, and there would be an Install button here if it isn't already installed on your computer. So, since we have that installed, let's go ahead and get programming. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down to the NCD section, and I'm going to grab a wireless gateway node and drag it into my flow. Next, I'll grab a debug node and connect that to the output of the wireless gateway node. Now we need to configure the wireless gateway node. To do that, just double click on it. And we need to tell it how to connect to the wireless module or the modem. For the IoT Edge computer, you're going to already have /dev/TTY-S1. That's what you would want to select on the IoT Edge computer. I happen to be running a USB modem today on my computer to make things simple. So I'm going to select USB modem. But if you needed to set that up, you just click on the edit pencil and then come in here and select your modem type. You would select serial if it happens to be a USB or RS-232 modem, or you would select TCP if it's a Wi-Fi or Ethernet modem. Then you would click on serial port, which will show all the serial ports on your computer, and then you make sure the baud rate's 115.200. I recommend checking this add RSSI to incoming packets so we can check the wireless signal strength with our sensors, and then click done, and then you can click deploy. We're now ready to start testing our sensor. So what we're going to do is we're going to power on the sensor. When you receive your sensor, it's going to be in the off power state, so we need to turn it on. To do that, we simply open the lid of the sensor and then locate the power switch inside. The power switch needs to be flipped towards the wall of the enclosure, or that direction in my case. So I'm going to go ahead and power that up, and then we're going to watch for transmissions right in our debug window here in Node-RED. You can access the debug window by clicking on the little bug icon here. And we'll see that we received a transmission from our wireless temperature humidity sensor. Okay, so next, let's get this thing connected to Ubidots. So to do that, we need to install an Ubidots library, which is pretty simple. We're just going to click on the menu icon like we did earlier, go to Manage Palette, click on Install, and then search for Ubidots. We'll locate the Ubidots-Node-RED library, and then we'll click Install. All right, and we can close that now. And now if we scroll down on the left, we're going to see the Ubidots nodes over here. We want an output node because we're going to be sending data out to Ubidots. So we'll just drag that into our flow. And we actually, we're going to need to do a little bit of alteration to the data before it goes to Ubidots. So we're going to move that over there, and then we're going to drag a function node in here, where we're going to make some slight modifications to this data that's coming from the sensor. So we'll connect the output of the wireless gateway node to the input of the function, the output of the function to Ubidots. Now we'll double click on the function node to edit the JavaScript that runs inside of here. I have already got this code written up, so we'll just open that, copy it in so you don't have to watch me type. And we'll paste it in here. Okay, so what we're doing here is, first off, we're creating a new object. We're setting that new object's payload object to message.payload, which is going to be the data that's coming out of our wireless gateway node, or this data here. Now we need to add a variable to that payload called Ubidots device label. I'm setting it equal to message.payload.address, or adder. And you can see that value right here. That's the unique address of the wireless device. Okay? So that means that it's going to create a device on Ubidots that's labeled this. And you could change that if you wanted to. You know, you could manually type in a name for the sensor here if you like. Next, we're going to set message object.payload.temperature to message.payload.sensordata.temperature. So what's going on here is, if we look at the object that we're receiving from the sensor, it has temperature and humidity inside this sub-object called sensor data. Ubidots doesn't really know what to do with that nested data. So what we're doing is we're taking the humidity and temperature readings and we're taking them up onto this level, so it's not nested. After we do that, we're just going to delete that nested object, sensor data, and then we're going to send out that new object that we've created. That new object will come out of the function node and feed into the Ubidots node, so it'll be published to Ubidots. Now we need to configure our Ubidots node. To do that, we can give this node a name if we like, my Ubidots account. And now we need a token. That's how it's going to authenticate with Ubidots. So I'll go to Ubidots here. This is my Ubidots account that I'm signed into. I'm going to click on my avatar up here in the upper right corner and click on API credentials. It's going to expand. It's going to reveal some parameters here, and we want the token. So I'm just going to click on the copy field here for the token, and I'm going to paste it right in here, and I'm going to go ahead and just disable TLS. After you do that, you can click Done, and then we'll click on Deploy. And we're getting an error there because I'm getting transmissions from a sensor that's not a temperature humidity sensor. So what we can do to clean that up is we can add a switch node in here between the wireless gateway and the function. And we can make sure that we're only receiving transmissions from this particular device. So if I expand this device object, I can go ahead and copy the path for this adder element, go into our switch, and we can say if message.payload.adder equals, and then we'll copy the value for that address. Make sure this is set to string because this is a string value, and paste that in there. Now we're only going to allow this flow to run if it comes from this particular sensor. Okay? And we'll deploy that, and that'll get rid of our errors. Now if we hop back over to Ubidots and we refresh our device page, we'll now see that there's a couple of new devices in here because I messed up earlier. But right here we have the wireless temperature humidity sensor that we can click on. And we can see the data coming from that sensor. We've got the humidity value right here. We can see a graph of that data if we click on it over time. We can see the RSSI, or the signal strength of this sensor to the IoT edge computer. We can see the temperature reading and any other information we want. We've got the battery level, which is 3.29. This is a 3.3 volt device, so that's a good voltage. The battery percentage is 99.64. We can tell that it's a type 1 sensor, which is a temperature humidity sensor. So yeah, that's pretty much all the information about the sensor. Now you may want to reconfigure your sensor to report at a different interval. By default, whenever we ship these sensors, they only report every 10 minutes. For testing, sometimes that doesn't work, so you'll want to change the report interval of the sensor. So to do that, we can do it right through Node Red. We can configure that. We'll just drag a wireless device node in here. We'll double click on it. We need to set the serial device and the serial device for config to our modem, or on the IoT edge computer, you'd set it to that. And then we can search for MAC addresses that our modem or gateway has heard from. And we know that we want this one. That's the wireless sensor here is 3160, ends in 3166 there. So I'll select that, and it tells me that's a temperature humidity sensor. I'm going to click on auto config, and then I'm going to click on active for node ID and delay. And here we can put in a value for delay. This is the interval in seconds at which the sensor wakes up and sends its readings. So say you want it to report every 30 seconds. I would just put in 30. We can click on done after we're done with that, and then we need to click on deploy. Okay. So now we need to put the gateway and the sensor into configuration mode, and then the settings will be applied automatically. Okay, we'll see that sensor reported in, and it shows that it's running. So now we're going to click on the little square here next to wireless gateway, and that's going to put our gateway into configuration mode. Now we need to put the sensor into configuration mode. So back over here on the sensor, we need to click the buttons inside here to put it into configuration mode. So the first thing we need to do is press and release the reset button, and then press the C button. And you hold that down for 8 seconds, and now it's in configuration mode. We can see back here on Node Red that the sensor configuration is now complete. So we can go ahead and take our gateway out of configuration mode, and it'll switch back to ready. And now we can just hit the reset button on our sensor. And now we'll see the sensor shows that it's running again. And now we're going to see that the sensor is going to report in every 30 seconds. So that's about all for this. I hope this has been useful information for you guys. If you have any questions, be sure to scroll to the bottom of our website click on Contact Us, and you can put a request for support in there. Thank you guys, have a wonderful day, and thanks for stopping by.